It's time now to look at zMatte, and the zMatte node has replaced the keyer module from previous versions of Silhouette. zMatte is a keyer with a couple of interesting, unique twists to it. Built directly into the node is not just one keyer, it's two. We have a primary keyer and a secondary keyer if we have some fine detailed work that we need to blend two keyers together. But let's take a look first at the primary matte. So here's where we choose what we're going to key on. Are we working with blue screen, green screen? Do we want to pull a luma key? Or do we want to pull a key based on a hue, so making it a linear color keyer, or saturation, an average, or the red, green, blue, cyan, magenta, or yellow color channels? In this case, it's pretty clear where we want to start. We want to start with green screen. And as soon as we do that, our viewer starts to change. And that's because we have a number of different ways of seeing this clip. We can either view the output, which is going to be the original image, plus the alpha channel, plus any of the color work that we do later on in the filter. Or we can see this as a composite. And if we take a look at the inputs on the zMatte, we have a space here for the input and a space here for the background. So we can plug that directly in there. In addition to these, we have inputs for a holdout matte, a garbage matte, and transform, so we can use tracking data with our keyer as well. But let's take a look at the primary matte. And what we're trying to do here is get a good alpha channel where anything black is going to be completely keyed out, anything white is going to be left in, and anything grey is going to be in the middle. Now, of course, all of this background here, we don't want that in. So I'm going to come to my background and start to lower this slider down. And as I do that, this becomes more and more black. I can also bring my foreground up if I need to, and what that will do is that will fill in any of the small lighter grey bits and make those a bit more white. I also have a black clip that will help me take out any small bits of noise that are just floating around, and a white clip to do things on the other side to help make things a little bit more opaque. I can shrink or grow the matte as well if I need to. If I move this back into composite mode, and you can see what happens as I shrink and grow that back. Sometimes you might have to shrink it down just a little bit to take out some of the edge, if there are compression artifacts or something that's going on the edge there. We can also blur it up, or do a wrap, which is a inner blur. So it's only going to be blurring inwards. And again, this is better for helping to create a more realistic edge. And if we wanted to invert that, we don't in this case, but we could do here. Cool. And the secondary matte has exactly the same controls, but we just choose how we're going to blend them together. And by combining primary and secondary mattes, we can make some quite complex keys just within a single node. The holdout matte and the garbage matte use alpha channels from different nodes, often a roto node, to usually keep stuff in the case of a holdout matte, or keep stuff out in the case of a garbage matte. But of course we do have blend modes in both of these, so we can use them in different ways as well, but that's just the standard way of working with them. Color suppress we've seen. If I turn us to the output and take my color suppress down, what the color suppress is doing is helping us to remove the green color cast that shines through when we have a motion blur, or we have a light or reflective surface very close to the green screen. And we can take that a little bit too far, and you can see that's going to start to turn magenta. But let's take a look at that in context and bring that up. I can increase the range, and you can see that now bleeding in to the edges of my footage. I can balance that out quite a bit. Bring it up a little bit more and take our range down. There we go. We can also use the edge to just help to lighten that edge up a little bit. And with certain backgrounds, that's going to help the composite and help the keyed image to sit better on the background. In addition to color suppress, we also have color correction, so we can come in and again make our foreground match the background a little bit better in terms of color and contrast. Moving down even more, we have a light wrap, and the light wrap, if I just check out the view here, what the light wrap is doing is it's wrapping some of the background around the edge and helping that to fit in a bit better. So without any light wrap, so if I zoom in a little bit here, turn the light wrap down for a second, turn my brightness up, and you can see that's wrapping that around. We can take the brightness down. That's all about helping to sell our keyed image. Additionally, we have an edge, which is a color correction that just works around the edge. So if we need to do any further work here, if we still have a slight color cast, or we still need to boost up the brightness or something, we can do that just on the edge there. In this case, we really don't need to, so we'll just leave that where it is. And finally, we have our transform. And the transform works just as it does in the other nodes. So not only can we affect the position, scale, rotation, shear, corner pin, crop, etc., etc., etc. Let's bring the crop up, for example. We can also use this transform here to do match moving or stabilization on the image. All we have to do is feed in tracking data into the zMatte, and it will come up available here. And if we want to do transforming with the on-screen controls, we can do just that. Let's turn my crop off, reset, and scale that up. Very nice. Okay, now once you've mastered the zMatte keyer, you'll actually notice similar controls pop up on other nodes as well. For example, if I start off a new session here, and we will call this one Selective Color Correction, and I come to my color over here and go Selective Color Correction, and come down to the matte, you can see that this looks very similar to what we just saw in the zMatte. The only exception is we don't have blue screen and green screen available to us. So we can come in, view the matte, take a look at the hue, change the range up a little bit, black and white clipping, blurring that up. Cool. And now if we want to change that from red to green, we can do. And simply adjust the matte as we need to there as well. And that's a brief look at zMatte and how we can start to use keyers within Silhouette.